In the heart of Geneva, the council chamber of Earth buzzed with quiet tension. The year was 2275, and the polished obsidian table reflected the faces of Earth's leaders, their expressions a mix of resolve and caution. Above them, a holographic globe spun slowly, casting soft light across the room. The Galactic Coalition's emblem, a spiral of stars, glowed on the wall, a reminder of humanity's place among the stars, respected for resilience and morality, yet dismissed by some as overly emotional. Today, the council faced Thar'vok, a Xytheran diplomat whose smile seemed too perfect, his violet eyes too sharp. Thar'vok stood at the podium, his sleek, silver robes catching the light. His voice, smooth and warm, filled the chamber. Honored Council, Zorath is a gift of the galaxy. Its resources, crystals that power fleets, flora that heal worlds, could bring prosperity to all. Earth and Xytheran, together, can unlock this opportunity for the Coalition. He spread his hands, his smile inviting trust, but his gaze darted to each counselor, calculating their reactions. Elena Moreau, Earth's council president, sat at the head of the table, her steel-gray hair pulled back tightly. Her eyes, sharp as a hawk's, never left Thar'vok. She leaned forward, her voice calm but firm. Prosperity built on exploitation is no prosperity at all, Thar'vok. Zorath's people have a right to their home. Earth will not send soldiers to crush them for your gain. The room murmured in agreement, a few counselors nodding. Elena's words carried the weight of Earth's moral stance, a beacon in the Coalition's murky politics. Thar'vok's smile didn't falter, but his fingers twitched slightly. I assure you, Madam President, Xytheran seeks only partnership. The Zorathians can benefit from our technology, our protection. His tone was earnest, almost pleading, but a faint edge crept in, as if he were testing the council's resolve. Elena raised a hand, silencing the murmurs. Partnership does not begin with invasion. Your proposal serves Xytheran, not the galaxy. She paused, her gaze softening but unyielding. However, Earth values peace. You traveled alone, Thar'vok. We'll provide a squad to escort you safely back to Xytheran. Her offer was generous, a gesture of humanity's goodwill, but her eyes warned him not to mistake it for weakness. Thar'vok bowed, his smile widening. I'm deeply grateful for Earth's generosity. You are a shining example to the Coalition. His words dripped with sincerity, but as he straightened, a flicker of something, amusement, perhaps, crossed his face. He stepped back, his robes swishing, and the council moved to other matters. Outside the chamber, in a dimly lit corridor, Ethan Cole leaned against a wall, his pilot's jacket slightly rumpled. At 27, he was the youngest member of the escort squad, his boyish grin masking the nerves of his first major mission. He ran a hand through his dark hair, watching the chamber doors. Thar'vok's got away with words, doesn't he, Marcus? Like he's selling us a dream. Marcus Kane, a grizzled soldier of 38, stood nearby, arms crossed. His scarred face was set in a scowl, his eyes fixed on the doors. Words like that hide knives, Ethan. I've seen his kind before, smiling while they twist the blade. Marcus's voice was low, rough from years of battle. He didn't trust politicians, especially not Xytherans, whose sleek promises often cloaked greed. Ethan chuckled, trying to lighten the mood. Come on, he seems friendly enough. Maybe he's just enthusiastic. But even as he spoke, doubt crept in. Thar'vok's violet eyes had lingered on him during the briefing, and something about that gaze felt wrong, like a predator sizing up prey. Marcus snorted. Enthusiastic? That's a snake charming its dinner. Watch him, kid. Men who smile that much are usually trouble. He shifted, his hand resting near the pistol at his hip, a habit from years of war. The doors slid open, and Lucas Ward, their squad leader, strode out. At 45, Lucas carried the weight of command with a quiet strength. His graying beard framed a face etched with lines of duty, but his eyes held a warmth that made Ethan feel safe. Cole, Kane, get ready. We're escorting Thar'vok to Xytheran. Ships prepped, departures in 2 hours. His voice was steady, but a faint frown tugged at his lips, as if he shared Marcus's unease. Ethan straightened, his grin returning. "Got it, Captain. Time to play chauffeur to the galaxy's smoothest talker." He tried to sound confident, but his stomach churned. This wasn't just a flight. It was a mission under the Coalition's eyes, and he couldn't afford to mess up. Lucas clapped Ethan's shoulder, his grip firm. "Keep your head on, Cole. This isn't a joyride. Thar'vok's slick, but we're Earth's best. Stay sharp." He turned to Marcus, his tone softer. "Kane, I'm counting on you to keep the kid grounded. No heroics, just get it done." Marcus nodded, his scowl deepening. "Always do, Captain, but I'm keeping both eyes on that Xytheran. Something's off." His words were a warning, not just to Lucas, but to himself, a reminder to trust his instincts. Thar'vok emerged from the chamber, his robes gliding as he approached. "Captain Ward, gentlemen," he said, his voice warm as honey. "I'm honored to travel under your protection. Earth's hospitality is unmatched." He smiled at Ethan, his eyes glinting, and Ethan felt that chill again, like a shadow passing over him. Lucas met Thar'vok's gaze, his expression unreadable. "We'll get you home, Thar'vok. That's our job." His tone was neutral, but his posture was rigid, a soldier ready for anything. Ethan forced a smile, trying to shake off his unease. "Yeah, we'll make it a smooth ride. Aurora's the best ship in the fleet." He glanced at Marcus, hoping for reassurance, but Marcus's eyes were locked on Thar'vok, hard and unyielding. Thar'vok inclined his head, his smile never wavering. "I have no doubt, Mr. Cole. Let's embark on this journey together." He turned, leading the way toward the hangar, his steps measured, almost too perfect. As the squad followed, Ethan whispered to Marcus, "You really think he's trouble?" Marcus didn't look at him, his voice a low growl. "I don't think, kid. I know. Stay close, and don't let that smile fool you." The corridor echoed with their footsteps, each man carrying his own weight. Ethan's nervous optimism, Marcus's grim certainty, Lucas's steady resolve, and Thar'vok's hidden motives. The mission had begun, and the air felt heavy with unspoken warnings. The Aurora hummed through the void, its engines a steady pulse beneath Ethan Cole's boots. The cockpit glowed with readouts, each screen a tether to their course. Stars streaked past the viewport, and Zorath's emerald glow loomed closer, a beacon in the black. Ethan gripped the controls, his pilot's instincts sharp despite the nervous knot in his chest. At 27, he was the youngest in the squad, and the weight of escorting a Xytheran diplomat under the Galactic Coalition's gaze pressed hard. He forced a grin, trying to shake the unease from Geneva, where Thar'vok's polished smile had felt too perfect. "Status, Cole." Lucas Ward's voice came from behind, calm but firm. The captain stood at the cockpit's edge, his graying beard catching the light, his eyes scanning the screens with a veteran's precision. "All systems green, Captain," Ethan replied, his tone lighter than he felt. "Aurora's flying smooth. We'll have our VIP on Xytheran before he can talk us into another speech." He adjusted a dial, but his grip tightened. Marcus's warning, "Men who smile that much are usually trouble," echoed, and Thar'vok's violet eyes lingered in his mind. Lucas chuckled, clapping Ethan's shoulder. "Keep it clean, kid. No heroics." He turned, his boots echoing as he headed to the passenger cabin, where the squad waited. Ethan glanced through the hatch. Marcus Kane sat near the rear, his scarred face set in a scowl as he cleaned his rifle, his eyes locked on Thar'vok. Sam Thompson and Riley Hayes lounged across from each other, trading quiet laughs. Thar'vok, in his silver robes, leaned toward Sam, his voice warm and engaging. "Mr. Thompson," Thar'vok said, his violet eyes glinting, "Earth's traditions intrigue me. Your festivals, your bonds, what unites your people." His smile was kind, but there was a calculated edge, like a predator probing for a weakness. Sam grinned, leaning back. "You want the real deal? The solstice feast, family's food, music so loud you feel in your bones. It's chaos, but it's home." His enthusiasm was genuine, but he kept one hand near his gear, ever alert. Thar'vok nodded, his smile widening. "Beautiful. And you, Mr. Cole?" He raised his voice, catching Ethan's attention. Do you share these moments with family? His tone was gentle, but his gaze was sharp, testing. Ethan hesitated, his fingers pausing. Yes, sometimes. My folks are back on Earth. They'd say I'm better at flying than feasting. He forced a laugh, but the question felt like a hook, tugging at something personal. Marcus's voice cut through, sharp and low. Stick to your own business, Thar'vok. Sam, save the stories. He didn't look up, but his words were a barrier, his distrust of Xytheran as clear as the hum of the engines. Thar'vok raised a hand, his expression serene. My apologies, Mr. Kane. I only wish to know my escorts. His voice was smooth, but his eyes lingered on Marcus, a flicker of amusement beneath the courtesy. Ethan turned back to the controls, his jaw tight. Thar'vok's charm was slippery, and Marcus's suspicion was catching. He focused on the readouts, Zorath's orbit nearing. The mission was clear, get Thar'vok home. But nothing about him felt straightforward. A blaring alarm shattered the calm. Red lights flashed, and the Aurora lurched, slamming Ethan against his harness. His hands flew to the controls, heart pounding. Captain, we've got a problem, he shouted, scanning the screens. Electromagnetic interference. It's frying everything. Lucas was at his side in seconds, gripping the chair. Give me details, Cole. His voice was steady, but his eyes were hard, assessing the chaos. EMP pulses, Ethan said, his fingers a blur. Navigation's gone, shields are down, engines are choking. Plasma bolts streaked across the viewport, and Ethan's stomach dropped. We're under attack. Zorathian rebels, Lucas growled. They were waiting. He hit the comms. Kane, Sam, Riley battle stations. Protect the VIP. Marcus sprang up, rifle ready, his scowl replaced by cold focus. Copy, Captain. He moved to the viewport, scanning the void. Sam and Riley grabbed their weapons, their banter gone. Thar'vok sat still, his hands folded, his face eerily calm. Mr. Cole, Thar'vok called, his voice steady. Can you evade them? There was no panic, only a detached curiosity, as if the attack were a minor nuisance. Ethan ignored him, his focus on the controls. They got us pinned. The EMP's killing our systems. The Aurora shuddered, sparks bursting from console. Ethan ducked, sweat dripping. Zorath's surface loomed, its gravity while dragging them in. We're going down. Options, Lucas snapped. Ethan's mind raced. Controlled descent. Aim for a forest zone. But with these systems, a blast rocked the ship and a panel exploded. It's gonna be rough. Do it, Lucas ordered. Brace for impact. Sam and Riley strapped in, their faces tight. Marcus stood by Thar'vok, rifle steady. Thar'vok fastened his harness, his composure unshaken. Your resolve is inspiring, Captain, he said, his voice almost admiring. I trust you. Marcus glared. Quiet, Xytheran. Let us work. His tone was ice, his focus absolute. Ethan fought the controls, the Aurora screaming as it hit Zorath's atmosphere. Flames licked the viewport, and he angled toward a forest, praying for a clearing. Hold on, he muttered, hands shaking. The ground rushed up, a blur of green. A final EMP pulse hit, and the controls died. No. Ethan slammed the panel, but the screen stayed dark. Captain, we're in free fall. Lucas's voice was steel. Abandoned ship. Survival suits. Now, the squad scrambled to the rear, where 6 survival suits hung, sleek exoskeletons with oxygen, impact resistance, and thrusters. Ethan checked the panel, his heart sinking. Captain, only 3 suits work. The EMP fried the rest. 6 people. 3 suits. The silence was crushing. Ethan's eyes darted to Lucas, Marcus, Sam, Riley, and Thar'vok, the math of brutal truth. Lucas stepped forward, his voice unwavering. Thar'vok takes 1. Mission priority. Ethan, Marcus, you take the others. That's a call. Marcus's head snapped up, his eyes blazing. No, Lucas. Sam and Riley are kids. They get the suits. I can take my chances without one. His voice was raw, his fists clenched. The team was his family, and the thought of surviving at their cost tore at him. I'm not leaving them. Sam shook his head, his grin forced. Nice try, Kane, but Ethan needs you. We're not letting you play hero. He glanced at Riley, who nodded, his jaw tight. Riley's voice was firm. You're too damn tough to die, Marcus. Get in the suit. That's final. His eyes betrayed his fear, but his resolve held. Ethan's voice broke, tears stinging. Captain, we can't do this. There's another way. He reached for Lucas, desperation choking him. These men were his brothers, his home. Lucas gripped Marcus's arm, his voice sharp. Stand down, Kane. Ethan needs you. Don't make this harder. Marcus lunged for a suit, his face contorted with anguish, but Lucas held him fast. Sam, Riley now. Sam moved in, his fist connecting with Marcus's jaw in a clean, hard strike. Marcus staggered, eyes rolling back as he slumped. Riley caught him, his voice low. Sorry, brother. You're too important. They dragged Marcus to a suit, strapping him in as the systems hummed to life, sealing around his unconscious form. Ethan's throat tightened, his vision blurring. Captain, no. I can't leave you. He looked at Lucas, Sam, and Riley, their faces lit by the cabin's flickering lights, each one a piece of his heart. Lucas knelt, his gray eyes steady. Ethan, the mission's yours now. You and Marcus carry our fight. Tell Kane we're sorry for staying behind. He forced a chuckle, glancing at Sam. Kid's too young to go out like this, right, Sam? Sam laughed, his voice shaky. Hell yeah, Captain. Ethan, you owe me a beer back on Earth. Don't let our story die. His eyes glistened, but he held Ethan's gaze, unyielding. Riley nodded. You're our best shot, Ethan. Tell our story right. He turned to the panel, hand steady. Ready, Captain. Thar'vok stepped into his suit, his voice smooth. Your sacrifice is profound, Captain. I will not forget. His violet eyes met Ethan's, a cold glint chilling Ethan's spine. Lucas and Sam fitted Ethan into the final suit, their hands steady despite the ship's tremors. Lucas leaned close, his voice low. Find Marcus. Trust him. He's your compass now. No regrets, Ethan. Live for us. Sam grinned, eyes bright. Cold beer, Cole. Don't forget. Riley slapped the ejection button. Go, Ethan. Make it count. The bay hissed open. Marcus went first, his unconscious form ejected, thrusters flaring against Zorath's haze. Thar'vok followed, his descent calm, almost calculated. Ethan was last, the bay expelling him into the void. He spun, the Aurora's burning hull shrinking. Lucas's voice came through the comms, warm and defiant. Sam, that Titan bar. Worst beer ever. But we drank it dry, Lucas said, his laugh rich. Sam's grin was audible, and Riley's dance moves nearly got us killed. His laughter joined Lucas's, a fleeting echo of joy. Riley's voice softened. Best fight I ever had. Ethan, tell our story right. The comms crackled, the signal fading as the Aurora's core breached. A silent explosion lit the stars, and the voices cut off, leaving Ethan with the hum of his suit and his pounding heart. He plummeted toward Zorath, its forests rushing up, glowing vines, towering trunks, rivers like silver threads. His thrusters slowed his descent, but his mind was with the Aurora, with Lucas's smile, Sam's laugh, Riley's steady hand. Tears fogged his visor. I'm sorry, he whispered, the words lost. The mission was his now, a fragile thread to the men he'd lost. He had to find Marcus, honor Lucas's trust. But Thar'vok's cold gaze haunted him, a shadow growing darker. Ethan's survival suit screamed through Zorath's atmosphere, thrusters straining as the forest surged up, a tangle of bioluminescent vines and towering trunks. Grief clawed his chest, Lucas's voice echoing. Find Marcus. Trust him. Sam's grin, Riley's nod. They were gone, but their sacrifice burned in him, a vow to keep going. The suit's alarms blared, and Ethan braced as a clearing flashed below. The suit slammed into the earth with a jarring crunch, skidding through mud and vines, crashing against a gnarled root. Pain seared Ethan's ribs, the suit's padding barely softening the blow. He gasped, vision blurring, Zorath's hum, chirps, rustles, a distant bellow, filling his ears. His visor held, cracked but sealed, diagnostics green. He pushed to his feet, ribs aching, the alien air sharp with sap through his vents. The aurora was ash in the sky, its loss cutting him off from Earth. Lucas's command drove him. Find Marcus. Ethan scanned the clearing, mud churned from his crash. His suit's sensors pinged a heat signature a kilometer west, another suit. Marcus, knocked out by Sam's fist, had landed somewhere close. Ethan drew his pistol, its weight steadying his shaking hands. The forest glowed, vines pulsing like veins, their light casting jagged shadows. He stepped forward, each move a stab in his side, but stopping wasn't an option. Riley's words, "Tell it right," pushed him on. Half a kilometer away, Marcus Kane lay in a shallow crater, his suit caked in dirt. The landing had been rough, thrusters failing mid-descent, but the suit had saved him. Pain throbbed in his jaw where Sam had struck, and consciousness crept back, heavy with guilt. His eyes opened to a cracked visor, Zorath's glow seeping in. Sam's face flashed, "Ethan needs you," and Riley's both gone to save him. Marcus's chest tightened. The team was his family, and he'd been forced to live a betrayal he couldn't shake. He shoved himself up, boots slipping in mud. His suit hummed, oxygen stable, rifle still strapped tight. Sensors flickered, catching a signal east. Ethan, he hoped. Marcus's guilt burned, but Lucas's order, "Keep the kid alive," was iron. He moved, each step a fight against the weight of loss, toward the signal. Ethan pushed through the forest, vines brushing his suit, their sap glowing like spilled stars. His sensors narrowed the signature to 500 meters. The air buzzed, a winged creature darting past, its scales glinting. Back in the forest, Ethan's heart raced as he spotted a crater ahead, a suit half buried in dirt, hatch open. Marcus's suit. Boot prints led west, uneven but strong. He's alive. Ethan breathed, relief flooding him. He followed, the prints weaving through trunks, each step a pulse of hope. The forest's hum grew louder, its life a stark contrast to his grief. A rustle stopped him. Ethan crouched, pistol ready, then saw a figure. Marcus, leaning against a trunk, rifle in hand, his visor reflecting the glow. Ethan's throat tightened. "Marcus!" Marcus turned, his scarred face visible through the crack, eyes heavy but sharp. "Cole," he rasped, voice rough. "You made it." He straightened, wincing, guilt etched in his posture. "Sam, Riley, they shouldn't have." Ethan cut him off, stepping closer. "They saved us. We owe them." His voice cracked, grief raw but firm. Marcus nodded, jaw tight, their shared loss a silent bond. They were brothers, forged by sacrifice. "We need Thar'vok," Marcus said, voice steadying. "Mission's not done." Ethan nodded, sensors pinging a new signature north. They moved together, steps synced, soldiers again. The trail led to a glade, where Thar'vok sat on a mossy stone, silver robes pristine, staring at the glowing canopy. His suit lay nearby, undamaged, his landing flawless. He didn't speak, his violet eyes distant, lost in thoughts he kept locked away. Ethan and Marcus exchanged a glance. No words, just duty. Marcus broke the silence, voice low. "We can't stay here. The mission's all we've got to honor them." His gaze flicked to Ethan, steady but heavy. "We get Thar'vok to Xytheran. That's the job." Ethan nodded, grief for Lucas, Sam, and Riley a knot his chest. "I'm with you, Marcus. But this forest, it's alive. We need a plan." His voice wavered, but his resolve held, anchored by Marcus's lead. Thar'vok stood, robes catching the light, his smile warm. "Gentlemen, the eastern forest edge holds a Xytheran communications post. A shuttle awaits there. I propose we move east swiftly." His tone was smooth, almost eager, but his eyes stayed distant. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Convenient. You know this place too well for a diplomat." He gripped his rifle, suspicion sharp. "If this is a trap, Thar'vok, you'll regret it." Thar'vok's smile didn't falter. "I'm merely a curious observer, Mr. Kane. Zorath is a wonder, but my goal is our safety." He gestured to the vines, pulsing faintly. "Shall we?" Ethan glanced at Marcus, uneasy but trusting his judgment. "East it is," Marcus said, voice cold. Stay sharp, Ethan. We move now. They stepped from the glade, boots crunching on moss, when a hiss cut the air. A poisoned arrow streaked past, embedding in Thar'vok's calf. He collapsed, groaning, as shadows moved in the canopy. Zorathian warriors dropped from the trees, their skin patterned like bark, eyes blazing. Their leader, tall and sinewy, pointed at Thar'vok. "Butcher," he roared, voice echoing. "You defile our home." Marcus yanked Ethan behind a massive trunk, Thar'vok dragging himself along, blood trailing. Arrows rained, tips glinting with venom. "Move!" Marcus barked, firing a burst to scatter the warriors. Ethan's heart pounded, his pistol shaky but ready. The Zorathians vanished into the foliage, only to reappear, bows drawn, using the trees like ghosts. Marcus grabbed a glowing vine, snapping it to release a burst of luminescent sap, blinding their pursuers. "Run, Ethan! Cover Thar'vok!" Ethan hauled Thar'vok's arm, the diplomat wincing but silent, and they sprinted, arrows grazing their suits. A mud pit loomed, and Marcus shoved Ethan clear, using it to slow the warriors, who cursed as they sank. The forest swallowed their shouts, but the danger lingered. They ducked behind a root cluster, breaths ragged. Thar'vok clutched his leg, face pale but composed. "They misunderstand," he gasped. "We must reach the post." Marcus glared. "Misunderstand? They know you, Thar'vok." "What?" He reloaded, eyes scanning the trees. Ethan's pulse raced. "We can't fight them head-on, Marcus." "What now?" "Keep moving east," Marcus said. "Stay low. They're not done." He pulled Ethan up, and they dragged Thar'vok, the forest hum a warning of what lay ahead. The forest closed around them, a labyrinth of towering trees and glowing vines that pulsed like heartbeats. Ethan's ribs throbbed, his suit's servos whining as he supported Thar'vok, whose leg oozed blood through a makeshift bandage. Marcus led, rifle sweeping, every rustle a threat. The Zorathian attack had shaken Ethan, but Marcus's steady pace grounded him. They were alive, and that was enough for now. Thar'vok, despite his wound, gestured to the jungle, voice regaining its charm. "Look, gentlemen, a marvel. These vines, they react to sound, glowing brighter with vibrations. On Xytheran, their sap powers reactors." His smile was warm, but his words carried a hunger. A single vine could fuel a fleet. Ethan frowned, glancing at Marcus, whose eyes narrowed. "You're awfully focused on profit for a diplomat," Marcus said, voice icy. "Keep moving." Thar'vok chuckled, undeterred, merely appreciating Zorath's gifts. "See that?" He pointed to a Zorathian HFY, its scales shimmering as it slithered past, blending with the foliage. "Those scales are stronger than steel, perfect for armor. A fortune awaits whoever claims them." His eyes gleamed, not with wonder but calculation. Ethan's stomach twisted. Thar'vok's enthusiasm wasn't for Zorath's beauty, but its price tag. He pushed the thought aside, focusing on the path. The jungle was alive. Luminescent insects hummed, their wings casting fleeting sparks. A carnivorous plant snapped shut nearby, its jaws dripping sap, and Ethan steered clear, heart racing. "This place wants to eat us," he muttered. Marcus snorted, a rare hint of humor. "Stay sharp, kid. It's not the plants I'm worried about." He glanced at Thar'vok, suspicion clear. They wove through roots as thick as pillars, the air heavy with pollen. Ethan's suit filtered it, but his lungs burned from exertion. Thar'vok leaned on him, pointing again. "Those trees, their resin is a medical goldmine. 1 ton could cure a colony." His voice was reverent, but his grip tightened, as if claiming the forest already. "Enough," Marcus snapped. "Save your sales pitch. When not here to mine." He scanned the canopy, where a WRM's eyes glinted, tracking them. Ethan gripped his pistol, remembering the Zorathian stealth. The jungle was their ally, not his. A low growl stopped them. A WRM lunged, scales flashing, jaws wide. Marcus fired, the burst grazing its flank, and Ethan yanked Thar'vok back. The WRM retreated, but its hiss lingered. "They hunt by color," Thar'vok said, breathless. fascinating and valuable. His calm unnerved Ethan, who exchanged a look with Marcus. "We're not your prospectors," Ethan said, voice sharp. Thar'vok's smile only widened, and they pressed on, the jungle's beauty masking its threats. Marcus's silence spoke louder than words. He saw what Ethan was starting to. Thar'vok wasn't their friend. The forest thinned as they neared Zorath's eastern edge, the lush canopy giving way to scarred earth. Ethan's legs burned, Thar'vok's weight dragging, but Marcus's pace didn't falter. The jungle's hum faded, replaced by an eerie silence. Trees stood half-chopped, their stumps oozing dark sap. Scorched patches spread like wounds, and the air stung with ash, not pollen. Ethan's unease grew. This wasn't the Zorath Thar'vok had praised. "Something's wrong," Ethan said, voice low. "Where's the wildlife?" The glow. He scanned the ground, littered with broken vines, no WRMS or insects in sight. Marcus's rifle stayed raised. "This is no forest. It's a graveyard." His eyes locked on Thar'vok, who limped silently, his earlier chatter gone. "What aren't you telling us?" Thar'vok shrugged, wincing. "Progress has costs, Mr. Kane. The communications post is close." His voice was smooth, but his eyes avoided the devastation. Itansku churned. The Zorathian's rage, butcher, echoed in his mind. He gripped his pistol tighter, following Marcus through a maze of felled trunks. The ground crunched with charred moss, and a stream ran black, its surface oily. "This isn't right," Ethan muttered. "They're killing this place." Marcus nodded, voice hard, and he knows why. He jerked his head at Thar'vok, who walked faster, as if eager to leave the ruin behind. A clearing revealed a swath of destruction. Trees reduced to stumps, soil torn up, no trace of life. Ethan's breath caught. The beauty Thar'vok had described was gone, replaced by a wasteland. Marcus's hand tightened on his rifle. "Your people did this, didn't they?" he growled. Thar'vok's smile was thin. "The galaxy demands resources. Zorath provides." His calm was chilling, and Ethan's trust, already fraying, cracked further. They pushed on, the forest edge visible, a stark line where green ended and ash began. Ethan's heart raced. This was no communications post. Marcus's silence was a storm, his suspicion now certainty. Thar'vok's limp seemed less pained, his eyes scanning the horizon. The mission felt like a lie, but they had no choice but to follow. The eastern edge unveiled a sprawling Xytheran mining camp, a grotesque scar on Zorath's flesh. Metal rigs clawed into the earth, ripping open crimson soil to expose veins of black resin. A dead stream slithered through, its surface slick with toxic sludge, the stench so acrid it burned Ethan's throat despite his suit's filters. Charred husks of ancient trees lay in splintered heaps, ash drifting like gray snow, settling on lifeless forms. Zorathian WRMS, their once jewel-like scales dulled to ash, sprawled beside the bodies of Zorathians. Men, women, children, their faces frozen in contorted agony, eyes wide as if still pleading in silence. Ethan froze, his stomach lurching, horror sinking its teeth into his chest. Cages lined the camp, rusted iron prisons holding Zorathians and other alien captives, their chains clinking in a mournful rhythm. Their eyes, hollow, stripped of hope, pierced Ethan as if he were complicit in their suffering. A Zorathian woman, her bark-patterned skin faded, clutched a child in one cage, her skeletal hands trembling. The child, no older than 5, gripped a broken vine, its faint glow flickering across a dirt-streaked face. Ethan's heart shattered. The child's gaze, wide and questioning, mirrored the innocence of Earth's solstice feasts, a world Zorath would never know. This wasn't progress. This was an abomination. This is your outpost. Ethan's voice cracked, raw and splintered, as he glared at Thar'vok, who stood tall despite his limp, his silver robes gleaming as if he were in a palace, not a graveyard. "These are slaves. This is evil, Thar'vok." The word evil erupted from his core, carrying the weight of his disillusionment, the betrayal of a mission that led to this hell. Thar'vok tilted his head, his face serene, violet eyes glinting with smug certainty. This is progress, Mr. Cole. Zorath's wealth is the lifeblood of the galaxy. These sacrifices are necessary. He raised a hand, gesturing toward a sleek shuttle gleaming on a raised platform. Its pristine metal a cruel contrast to the filth below. The shuttle is there, as promised. We'll depart soon. Marcus, at Ethan's side, growled, his voice thick with primal contempt. Progress? You're a monster. His rifle stayed low, but his eyes blazed, as if they could burn Thar'vok to ash on the spot. My teammates sacrificed everything for a monster. The words cut like a blade, his rage fueled not just by the camp's horrors, but by the bitter truth that their mission had been a lie from the start. Thar'vok's smile was thin, a razor's edge of indifference, as if their accusations were mere breezes. I serve Xytheran's interests, nothing more. Come, the shuttle awaits. He moved toward the camp, his steps unhurried, the bodies, cages, and poison stream mere backdrop to his purpose. His callousness chilled Ethan, a void where humanity should have been. Empathy surged through Ethan, a tidal wave threatening to drown him. The Zorathians suffering, their chains, their hollowed spirits, their stolen lives, was a weight he couldn't shed. The child's eyes, clutching that dying vine, bored into him, demanding why he stood idle. The mission he'd clung to, the one that kept him moving through grief and pain, now felt like a chain of its own. He turned to Marcus, whose disgust burned as fiercely as his own, yet duty anchored them both. We just leave them like this? Ethan whispered, his voice a plea, trembling with the urge to act, to defy. Marcus's jaw clenched, veins pulsing in his neck. We get the shuttle. That's the job. His tone was forged steel, but his eyes flickered with shame, a soldier trapped between duty and morality. He knew this wasn't justice, but they were two against a fortress. Stay close, kid, he said, softer, as if to steady them both. They followed Thar'vok into the camp, heads held high, their survival suits marking them as escorts. Xytheran guards nodded, their armor glinting under artificial lights, no questions asked. This was Thar'vok's kingdom, his rule absolute. Ethan's skin crawled as they passed the cages, the captive's silent stares slicing into him like shards of glass. The ground squelched with waste, bones snapping under their boots, each sound a condemnation. He wanted to scream, to tear open the cages, to erase Thar'vok's smug smile with a single shot, but Marcus's hand, heavy and resolute on his shoulder, kept him moving. Ethan and Marcus approached the Xytheran shuttle, their boots clanging on the metal platform. The open hatch gleamed, a promise of escape after the nightmare of the mining camp. Thar'vok led, his silver robes catching the light despite his limp, his calm demeanor jarring against the tension gripping Ethan. Marcus kept his rifle ready, eyes sharp, suspicion etched in his scarred face. Ethan's hand tightened on his pistol, a knot of unease twisting in his gut. The mission felt like a lie, but the shuttle was their only path forward. Thar'vok stopped at the hatch, turning with a thin, chilling smile. Beside him stood Kale, a young Zorathian with bark-patterned skin, clutching a crude spear. Sweat beaded on Kale's brow, his eyes wide with fear, his body stiff as if bound by invisible chains. This is Kale, Thar'vok said, voice smooth and oily. A Zorathian who'll help us. He knows the way aboard. Marcus stepped closer, his presence heavy with warning. What's going on, Thar'vok? He demanded, voice low and cutting. This kid's no ally. Look at him, he's scared. What did you do to him? His gaze drilled into Kale, whose hand shook on the spear, betraying coercion. Ethan's heart pounded, instinct screaming. Marcus, something's off, he muttered, voice tight. I don't like this. He watched Kale's trembling fingers, the Zorathian's fear feeding his own dread. Before Thar'vok could respond, a sharp crack split the air. A sniper's bullet tore through Marcus's head, blood and bone spraying across the platform. He collapsed, dead, his body slamming onto the metal. His eyes, wide and unblinking, locked onto Ethan's in a final, piercing moment, full of trust, warning, and a silent charge to fight on. Ethan froze, a scream caught in his throat, the world narrowing to that gaze. Kale lunged, his face contorted with panic and anguish. The spear plunged through Ethan's chest, the pain a searing explosion. Blood poured, soaking his suit, hot and thick. Ethan's knees buckled, and he crumpled to the platform, gasping, vision fading. The metallic tang of blood filled his mouth as his hands clutched uselessly at the spear. Through blurring eyes, Ethan saw Kale, the young Zorathian, his face tilted upward, too ashamed to meet Ethan's gaze. The kid's bark-patterned skin shimmered with tears, his trembling hands still clutching the blood-slick spear. In a broken whisper, he spoke in the Zorathian tongue, soft and haunting. "Silvera, mea culpa. I'm sorry." His voice quivered, choked with guilt, his body frozen in Thar'vok's cruel domain, a pawn forced to spill blood he'd never wanted to shed. Ethan's strength gave out, his body slumping to the platform, the spear's fire consuming his chest. Blood pooled beneath him, warm and thick, each shallow breath a struggle. From a distance, Thar'vok stood, a sleek recording device in his hand, its lens cold as ice. "This will ignite a galaxy-wide war," he said, his voice flat, each syllable a calculated wound. He stepped closer, kneeling beside Ethan, his violet eyes glinting with malicious triumph. "Thank you," he whispered, venom dripping from every word. "Your deaths are invaluable." Ethan's vision dimmed, Marcus's final gaze, fierce, trusting, unyielding, burned into his soul. The mission was ash, their lives snuffed out in a heartbeat. Thar'vok's recording would frame Earth and the Zorathians, a lie to set the Galactic Coalition ablaze. Kale's whispered apology lingered, a faint pulse of remorse in the silence, but it couldn't undo the blood on the platform. As Ethan's eyes fluttered shut, a deep horn blared, its echo shaking the air. A fierce, sharp Zorathian woman's voice roared across the open space. "Varkesh," a battle cry in a language of the Forestborn, followed by a surge of wild cheers. Darkness swallowed him,